Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a fantastic start to your day and week. Here to give you some updated information on this ongoing winter storm. We're going to talk about who's going to see what between now and basically the rest of the duration of this storm. We're continuing to see a lot of heavy snow out there in areas. Some folks are seeing sleet, some freezing rain, some just a mixture of everything. So we're going to break it down for you folks. We're going to get very detailed once again, just like we did in last night's video. But of course, we're going to stay ahead of the storm for the most part. So, for back here in Arkansas, like Texas, Louisiana, we're not going to have these super detailed graphics like we did over the last couple of days, just because a lot of the storm has already kind of moved through. But we are going to zoom into Texas and the deep south, like Louisiana, even Arkansas again, because the storm certainly is not over. In fact, they've actually upgraded winter weather advisories to winter storm warnings in areas of south central Texas. So that's pretty wild. But remember, your criteria for a winter storm warning is much lower as far as ice totals and snow totals the further south you get. So 1 inch of snow and like a tenth of an inch of ice could pump out a winter storm warning for certain areas further south. So a reminder on that. We still have the ongoing lake effect snow. Places around Buffalo Point south have been absolutely leveled with feet of snow. So we'll give you some updated information on that, talk about what Buffalo is saying between now and basically pretty much the next 24 hours. We've had some snow around the mid-Atlantic this morning, a little bit of a dusting out there. I saw some pictures, woke up this morning to a dusting of snow around Baltimore, I believe the D.C. region. So the heavy stuff has not made it into that region. We'll have a separate segment for the mid-Atlantic specifically. And remember, take advantage of those timestamps. Everything is going to be kind of separated out very well for you folks to just kind of jump to portions of the video that you guys just really want to watch. And I don't blame you. Not everybody has time to watch a 30-minute, 45-minute weather video, so definitely take advantage of those timestamps. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Quick reminder, I am probably almost 1,000 comments behind. I'm not sure if I'll ever catch up with them, I'll be completely honest, but I will find time to run back through them all and just show my appreciation because the growth is basically between now and back just the last couple weeks, the growth of the channel has been higher than any period on the channel. It even broke January 2022's record for how much growth I've seen in a certain amount of time. So it's been unreal. Thank y'all so much. By the time we're done with this January, this will by far be my most successful month on YouTube ever. So thank y'all so much. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it. And I promise you, hundreds, maybe thousands of people are praying over your prayer request also. Let's get rocking and rolling. So we have the ongoing winter storm out there. We'll kind of zoom into some of these radars, like in certain areas like Huntsville and maybe Nashville, maybe Knoxville. This is just rain, but I don't even know if most of this is really hitting the ground in North Carolina and upstate South Carolina. But this is definitely hitting the ground, snowing in Memphis, Nashville. A little bit of a break right now, but that'll be a different story. We'll get another push of heavy snow that can move into the city. But we're getting ice. The pink is more so kind of a freezing mixture of freezing rain, maybe sleet, and then you can barely see it, but we still have freezing drizzle, light freezing rain deep into Texas. And then we're getting that light snow that's moved into the mid-Atlantic. This is very light, but this area right here will be the area that pushes into the mid-Atlantic that really starts to add up the accumulations, and you guys will see some of the most snow that y'all have seen in the last few years in this region. It's not going to be some massive event, but I mean, someone could squeeze in 4 to 5, maybe 6 inches of snow. So watches, warnings, and advisories. No winter storm warnings into the mid-Atlantic right now, but there is winter storm warnings in a good chunk of West Virginia, Western Virginia. It's pretty much the same areas as we've seen them. Nothing has really changed with this much. Southeast Kentucky, the brunt of this storm is going to move in today. Same thing with Eastern Tennessee. Central Tennessee, you're kind of right in the middle of it, but I would say you're in the second half portion of the storm. Certainly Memphis, same thing in northern Mississippi. You're sort of, I would say, 60-70% of the way through this storm as of this morning, maybe even more. But, they've issued winter storm warnings, upgraded from winter weather advisories down here deep in Texas because this ice is forecast to be a little bit more than what they previously expected. And look, winter weather advisories all the way down to the shores of Louisiana. And, I mean, you got winter weather advisories, folks, all the way down to the Gulfport and Mobile, Alabama now. Those winter storm watches, those are winter weather advisories. I had to double check that. I don't know why this graphic is not updated for whatever reason. We do have some winter storm watches up in Maine, and then we have some winter storm watches up for the northern Rockies And it cascades again for another storm system that's going to move in here in the next couple of days. Storms, not a big deal. We could get some thunderstorms in Florida today. I will briefly mention that. We could have, some thunderstorms, so don't be surprised by this at all. Florida will be relatively warm today. I mean, even like southern Georgia and South Carolina getting into the 60s. In fact, here in South Carolina, we don't have any Arctic air. And I'm going to take advantage of getting outside, doing a couple things. So, flash flooding risk below 5% doesn't even show up here, so not really much to mention. So let's jump right into this. We're going to give you an update on this winter storm, and then we'll talk about today's forecast for areas that's not getting this winter storm. And then at the very end, we will speak on another storm threat at the end of this work week here, really in the next couple days, honestly. But for Texas, you got ongoing freezing drizzle right now. This is starting off this morning. You're going to continue to see this. There'll be areas that are seeing freezing drizzle, freezing rain that's not really showing up like right into this region. But, you're going to get some steady, light to even moderate freezing rain pretty deep into Texas. I mean, maybe Corpus Christi sees some freezing rain. It's getting close to Brownsville. It's pretty wild. I think you had a report of freezing rain in the Houston metro last night. In fact, you might be seeing something this morning. I'm not sure what you're seeing. You guys will have to let me know if we look at the radar and we kind of look over here. And, just north and northwest of Houston, they're actually reporting snow and some freezing rain, and College Station, reporting some snow. So, it's pretty early out here. It's around 7:17 a.m. here in Eastern time. It's a little earlier out here, obviously, it being further west, but freezing drizzle all the way to San Antonio, Austin. You guys will continue to see this, and it's snowing in Dallas this morning. Very light, but it is snowing. So, we'll keep this going. And we'll continue to deal with this. If you're confused about the time frame, back this up 1 hour because we're in Central Time. So it's around 10 a.m. We'll continue to keep this going. Another area of freezing rain will continue here in southeast Texas, north of Houston. So you'll continue to get these freezing rain totals that will very slowly add up. Very, very slowly, like maybe a couple 1/100ths of an inch of ice like every hour or two. It's not going to be much, but you'll certainly be dealing with it. And then as we're getting into this afternoon, 4 or 5 p.m., still dealing with it. And you could get one last push of freezing rain into Houston this evening. And then we could still be dealing with a little bit of it. And let's make sure we got the latest model guidance here. No, we do not. Here we go. We could still be dealing with a little bit of it as we are even getting into this to tonight. I mean, this is about 10 p.m. It's still got some freezing rain around Houston. I'm kind of surprised they don't have winter weather advisories around the Houston area. They might change that, but if you look, it looks like Houston or the Galveston region does not have winter weather advisories. And I'm kind of surprised by that, to be honest with you. But as far as snowfall, you guys already have a light dusting from what I'm seeing around the Dallas-Fort Worth region. At least I thought from what I've seen with a couple videos, you were picking up some very light snow with temperatures. I mean, you're like in the single digits, like the low teens in Dallas. So, you could continue just to pick up a light dusting. Remember, it's so cold up here in this region of Texas that, anything that falls from the sky, even if it's just like just that pixie dust snow, very small. I mean, everything's accumulating. Everything. Nothing is melting. So just remember that. Anything that falls is accumulating if it's just light sleet. But, over here in northeast Texas, you guys could see a couple tenths of an inch of snow, which would be enough to kind of make elevated surfaces look white, kind of like a winter wonderland. But of course, we are watching out for this ice. This is a big deal. But they're not going for much more ice between now and Tuesday evening. And I'm just kind of surprised they're not like adding additional ice to this. It's kind of weird, to be honest with you. And but here we are. Not really going. Let's see if we got an updated graphic, because I'm not buying this. Here we go. This is better. I think we had the wrong graphic up, maybe a graphic that had not updated yet. So, here it is. Somebody could squeeze in another 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. So this event is still ongoing. It's very light, but remember, it's cold all the way deep down into Texas. In fact, you look at current temperatures right now, and look, it's in the teens, deep into Texas. So light freezing rain in the teens, and some areas are seeing some snow. Single digits into Amarillo. You're around 10 degrees in Dallas right now, so everything is sticking in this region. Let's talk about the Deep South, and we'll include all the states here. We'll have a separate kind of segment for eastern Tennessee, points north into Kentucky, and northeast into the Appalachian Mountains. So we're already going. Let's go back to the radar. Let's look at the radar out of, let's say, Huntsville. Huntsville, you're actually getting sleet right now. North, kind of around west of the city of Huntsville, but just up the road, it's snowing. You guys have already picked up a decent amount of snow up here. In fact, after I dropped the video last night, they upped the snowfall totals around kind of northwest Alabama to 4 to 6 inches. You guys have to let me know what you're seeing on the ground. I said something about Memphis, and I immediately regretted it. I was thinking that I didn't think they were going to get as much snow as what they were forecasting, but you guys continue to get a lot. I don't know how much is on the ground in Memphis. I saw Nashville where it looked like it was 4 to 5 inches of snow, depending on where you were. But a buddy of mine in Nashville, he took a picture, and it looked like it was a solid, like almost 5 to 6 inches of snow on the ground. Little Rock, I saw some reports around 2 to 4 inches. But this is continuing, you're just getting sleet down here, kind of northwest of Tupelo. Looks like around the Oxford region. But anyway, it's not going to stay on this too long. Some sleet. It's still snowing south of Memphis where you're still hanging on to just snow. But you don't have to go far south before you start to mix with sleet and freezing rain. You definitely want to stay all snow in this setup. That causes less issues because it's very dry. It doesn't really stick to much because it's snowing at such cold temperatures. But we continue to keep this going, guys. And, we're going to continue to see snow in Memphis throughout the morning hours. I think as this Arctic air continues to sag south, I think in the atmosphere it will begin to cool and you'll start to lose that warm nose. And I think that you could get one last push of kind of moderate to heavy snow in northern Mississippi, kind of maybe where areas where you've just struggled just to get sleet and freezing rain. I think you can get a push of snow later this morning. But we'll see what happens. But you're going to continue to deal with ice around midday in northern Louisiana. Even southeast sections of Arkansas will continue to deal with some freezing rain. Even back here in Arkansas, you guys could continue to see a very light wintry mix in this region. Freezing rain down here in Jackson about midday. You continue see this. You continue just to get this ongoing winter storm in northern Alabama. It continues to snow up here in Nashville. The southern Cumberland Plateau continues to get hit. And right into here, this is when Chattanooga begins to see some snow. And we'll talk more about eastern Tennessee here in a second. Let's keep it at middle Tennessee and Alabama points west. But, you're seeing an all-out wintry mix in northern Alabama at this point. Solid mixture of everything depending on where you are. The further north you get up into northern Alabama, into Tennessee, the more it's just going to be all snow. But you keep this going. And I do think as a warm nose kind of moves in later this evening, you will just switch to a period of freezing rain with still temperatures that are very cold. So you'll get that snow, and then I think a little bit of a warm nose moves in. Remember, meaning that you have warm air aloft. So you can still have temperatures like in the upper teens, low 20s in this region, whatever they're going to be, which is going to be quite cold. But there's an area of warm air, mile and a half in the upper levels of the atmosphere that's actually above freezing. Remember, Arctic air is very shallow. It just kind of hangs around the surface. So moisture kind of trickles down to this warm area. Flakes melt into rain, actually. And if they don't have time to sort of kind of freeze back into snow or sleet, then it falls in the form of liquid to a well below freezing surface, which will be the case in here. So this means that, you look at temperatures around this time, and we'll take a look at it. And this is what they can potentially look like. So you're getting freezing rain in the mid to upper teens this evening, potentially in northern Alabama and Mississippi, where it's a little bit warmer, kind of in southern sections of Mississippi. So pretty wild scene here. So you're going to get that snow, and then unfortunately you are going to get a little bit of sleet and freezing rain behind this. And this continues. And this is when the Arctic front finally starts to move. So as we get deeper into this evening, you get below freezing in Birmingham, Meridian, and you start to get a period of light freezing rain into Birmingham. And in fact, you do have winter weather advisories into Birmingham. Yep. So, this is something that's not new necessarily. We start seeing an uptick in precipitation down here. But, even getting south of Birmingham, you're getting light freezing rain into Birmingham like late tonight. This is, around 1 a.m. Freezing rain around Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. Down here in the southwest Alabama, freezing rain. You start to get closer to Auburn. You're waking up tomorrow morning with a light period of freezing rain, maybe even Atlanta. I definitely could see a little bit of freezing rain into Atlanta tomorrow morning. It's very possible. And look at these light shades of pink down here near Gulfport, Mobile. Some freezing rain is possible as we're waking up tomorrow morning. And then, once you get deeper into Georgia, it really doesn't catch up. So, talking about the temperatures, this is temperatures. So remember, guys, that everything that's falling right now is falling in a sub-freezing atmosphere, and you're getting to below freezing in Birmingham. In fact, I wonder how much your temperatures are actually going to rise in Birmingham today. If you're going to hang around freezing, if you do, maybe you get a little bit more icing than what's predicted. But you talk about snowfall between now and basically the rest of this event. Another couple inches of snow is possible in extreme northern Alabama. Nashville, another 2 to 3 inches of snow, maybe another inch or two in Memphis. And then northern Mississippi, another couple inches of snow in these areas. And, you look at ice in this area, and we got to watch to see if this uptrends. But if now, kind of at the tailwind of this precipitation, get 1/10 of an inch of ice here, or northern Alabama and extreme northwest Georgia, and then a few 1/100ths of an inch of ice down here to Birmingham. So we'll see if this increases later today. But, we don't have many graphics up for this area. They didn't really upgrade much, but our folks in Nashville did. They're saying, and they updated this it was around 4:05 a.m. Central Time, so a few hours ago. They're saying additional forecast snow, another 2 to 3 inches. Now, maybe an inch of this has already fell. Crossville going for another 6 to 8 inches of snow. Major storm, folks, for the South. So, we continue to move on up. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover eastern Tennessee, the mountains of North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee in this, and then Kentucky, West Virginia, and western areas of Virginia. So if we look at what's going on right now in eastern Tennessee, and we'll pull up the radar out of Knoxville. Let's see. And yeah, it's starting to really move in now. Let's kind of zoom out a little bit. We're reporting a little bit of snow in Greensboro. I think it'll warm up around, the Triad in North Carolina today. So, you might get a little bit of light accumulations around the Greensboro area this morning. But I haven't looked at what's going on in that area in about an hour or two. But, we're getting snow in the Tennessee Valley. And here comes the heavy stuff. This wall of snow is about to move up and hit Knoxville and, pretty much affect everybody in the Tri-Cities region. The Cumberland Plateau, the western side of the Appalachian Mountains here in Tennessee. And it's coming. This is really about to crank up. The little bit of light stuff you got overnight, the put a coating of snow on the ground in this region, that was just a teaser event. The big dog part of this storm is moving in right now. So we get this back off, and let's look what the HRRR model shows over the next, 24 hours here. And we might actually can look at a newer run here. Let's see what it shows. So here it comes, blasting in. The thing that I'm concerned about in eastern Tennessee, and a lot of the locals around the area that are into the weather have mentioned this too, there's a warm nose that unfortunately could cut off snow totals in certain areas. I think the further north and west you get, and pretty much further north and west you get in Tennessee, you're going to be cold enough for snow. You're cold enough for snow pretty much in all these areas. It's just what are you in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So this moves in this morning. This is around 9-10 a.m. Heavy snow still falling back in Nashville. Knoxville, you're getting heavy snow at this point. Nasty wintry mix here in northern Alabama. And you keep this going, and, it looks like it struggles around Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge for a while. Even all the way up into the Tri-Cities regions. But, there's a distinct cutoff right in here that's, right in this region that's very interesting. It really is. I think that Knoxville, you don't have to worry about a warm nose. I think Knoxville could be an area that could potentially get crushed here. But you stop it here. We'll stop it right here. This is around lunchtime today. This is a pretty epic band of snow moving through eastern Tennessee. It's still snowing back in Nashville at a pretty heavy clip. Look at southeast Kentucky, snowing good. Western Virginia. You got moderate to even heavy snow moving into southern sections of West Virginia. And we can't ignore, southeast Kentucky with this. You guys are going to get, someone's going to get probably 6 to 8 inches of snow in southeast Kentucky. And you keep this going. And if you do struggle for a bit in the Tri-Cities region, I think by the time you get into this afternoon, you should be all snow. You're still getting a nasty just mix of everything in northern Alabama, but we kind of already talked about that area. But we got to watch. We do need to watch for my folks in Chattanooga. I think someone is probably going to get disappointed. Someone always is, and then someone's always surprised. But we have to watch the orientation of this precipitation. We got to get it a little bit further south in Chattanooga into the Cleveland region. But we take it all the way into this afternoon, and it's really hitting eastern Tennessee hard, southeast Kentucky. Snow totals have really increased for this section right here of Virginia, southern sections of, and even central sections of West Virginia. We're still getting some back-end moisture, still flying through Nashville back here. I think Nashville could get hit really hard when it's all said and done. And, we just got to watch. One thing that I was really pulling for from my folks in Chattanooga, let's hope that the HRRR model is wrong about this cold air. Because if it's on to something right here, this is the latest run, if it's on to something right here, it's gonna really jip areas like in the extreme, like southern couple counties here in Tennessee. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, someone is going to get just, I would say someone into here is going to be disappointed. Let's hope not. Maybe all the way up into this region. We'll see what happens. That little very small slither right in there. Let's hope it's wrong. And it could be. It very well could be. But let's hope that it's wrong. But if you compare this to this, you notice the cold air is a little bit sagged a little bit further south. But we continue to keep this going through the overnight hours. And then we're pretty much done with this by the time I'm waking up tomorrow morning. The brunt of the storm's moving in right now. Listen, the National Weather Service, pretty much says, and it did drop. Yep, it did drop a little bit. And I don't know if this is just because of what's already fell, but this is basically how much snow we're expecting between now and basically the rest of this storm. Another several inches of snow in eastern Tennessee, but if you do notice, down here in Chattanooga, they have dropped it a little bit. It's about an inch. Let's hope you guys can get an inch or two of snow. But, Western Virginia, Southeast Kentucky, several inch snowfall event in these regions. Let's go on and zoom into these areas right in here. And let's make sure let's see if we can get an updated graphic from Morristown. Let's see if they do have kind of an updated graphic here. Because I do want to keep you guys updated with the updated information here. So, no, this was issued an hour ago, folks. So they're still going for 2 to 3 inches of snow in Chattanooga, Cleveland, Athens, 4 to 6. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is just my opinion, and I hope I am wrong. I really do. I don't know how much you got in Chattanooga already, but I would aim on the lower end of this. I said that about Memphis, though, and I was totally wrong. But Knoxville, 6 to 8 inches of snow. I think that's a legit reading. Kingsport, the Tri-Cities region, anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow, depending on where you are. The further tucked in east and southeast you are, the lesser you are on those totals. But there's a little area right here between Lafayette, I think that's how you say it, Sunbright, that someone could get over 8 inches of snow. Look, they got the orange shading here, which stands for 8 to 12. I don't think anybody's going to get a foot. But, yeah, this is still the updated totals in this region, folks. Kentucky, we got some great graphics for you folks. Going for Harlan, going for 4 to 7, Hazard 3 to 6, Jackson 4 to 6 inches of snow, London 2 to 5. So a hefty snowstorm for southeast Kentucky. And then you move into the National Weather Service in Charleston, West Virginia. I know it's kind of small. Going for 6 inches of snow in Charleston now, half a foot. 6 to 8 inches of snow in Logan. I know you can barely see it. I can barely see it. Was that Beckley? 6 to 8 inches of snow. Snowshoe, 6 to 8 inches. Spencer, 4 to 6. Parkersburg, 1 to 2. Clarksburg, 3 to 4. Winter storm warnings up. You go over to my folks here in Western Virginia. And, I didn't mention you guys much on the radar, which I do apologize. But, the snow's going to move into your region. It's probably going to really pick up. Here it is. It's probably going to really pick up later today. Roanoke, Lynchburg, Charlottesville will begin to get that snow later this afternoon, and it's really going to pick up. But it's only a several-hour period. It's not some 2-day event, day-and-a-half event here. But, they're going for 2 to 3 inches of snow in Roanoke, 2 to 3 in Blacksburg, 2 to 3 in Lynchburg. And what is that? Wytheville. I should know. I've been up here about 2 or 3 times. 3 to 4 inches of snow and some light accumulations. Looks like they have dropped it from Mount Airy, 3 to 4 in Boone. All right, let's go up here to my folks in the Mid-Atlantic. So what you got going on right now in the Mid-Atlantic? Take a look at the radar. We'll go to Sterling. Let's see. There we go. Sterling. This is what you got going on. And, you do. It is accumulating on the roads up here. You got Arctic air in, not quite as brutally cold as back here in Tennessee or anything. But, it's snowing in Richmond, snowing in Lynchburg already. You're getting a little bit of a mix here in Raleigh. So you are getting a little action down here. And let's see what the radar looks like down here. I'm very interested to see what the radar actually looks like down here. And, sure enough, you got precipitation moving into this area. So you are getting that that mixed all the way down to North Carolina right now. It's snowing in Clemens, Greensboro, Winston-Salem. Looks like not snowing. Looks like rain and sleet mix, and kind of about the same thing down here. Looks like you got a mix of rain and snow according to somebody in Raleigh. So you keep this going. Whatever's going on down there, it'll get too warm for anything else, unfortunately. So if you're thinking, oh man, this is gonna be something big for North Carolina, I really don't think it is. But if let me know if you're getting any accumulations in Raleigh right now or anything like that, or certainly Greenville. I'm sorry, not Greenville, but the Greensboro area. But the meat of this really moves in later this afternoon. And here it is. We could get some snow down here in Richmond initially, but we're just going to be too warm in North Carolina and extreme southern Virginia. But here comes the light to moderate snow moving into D.C., additional snow from what you're seeing right now. And then someone is going to get a jackpot area. Is it going to be south of D.C., the Delmarva region, Baltimore? But look at this snow moving in this afternoon. Into the Delmarva region, the D.C., Baltimore area, northern VA. It's snowing. Snow is creeping all the way up into southern PA. Snow is getting all the way into Long Island. It's getting into the coastal regions of southern New England, like southern Connecticut, Rhode Island, southeast Mass. A little bit of light snow this evening. And then look at this band that sets up. This is where you guys could get a quick few inches of snow in the D.C. region. This band kind of pivots into this area. Could be heavy. And then we get into kind of late tonight, like 11 p.m. It's still snowing back in West Virginia, northern VA, all of Maryland except maybe the Delmarva region. But light and moderate snow reaching all the way up into State College and getting, snowing in Allentown, snowing in Harrisburg, snowing pretty much all the way up to Scranton, snowing for everybody in New Jersey, New York City. It's snowing tonight. And it could get pretty heavy. We got to watch this band. This could, jackpot somebody. Someone could end up with 4 to 6 inches of snow in this region. And we got this back-end snow still flying around later tonight in Pennsylvania. And then we could get one last sort of burst of snow around New York City, points north, northern sections of New Jersey, eastern PA. And then this starts to get into southern New England and pulls out. So definitely a pretty decent event for this area. And what's the NAM look like? NAM, the same thing. NAM really brings us in this afternoon. Heavy snow around the D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia region, northern Delaware. And, it brings a healthy band later into this evening into all the I-95 corridor regions. So, there is going to be a risk of some freezing rain later tomorrow morning. And somewhere in this area right in here, I will mention, as the warm nose creeps in. And then I will mention, the NAM's liking the idea of some back-end wintry weather down here in southeast Virginia, maybe eastern North Carolina. We'll see what happens. Snowfall between now and Thursday morning, the entire duration of this event. They have dropped the snowfall totals in D.C. I have no idea why they bumped it up to 4 to 5 inches in the first place, but you could end up with that. But, I could see areas right into here being a little bit more kind of north of Richmond. I could see you folks a little bit further south in Maryland getting a little bit more, but northern Delaware, a couple inches of snow, but this is kind of the broad look at it. Let's go on and just look at a closer look at this. National Weather Service out of Wakefield, which includes Richmond, inch or less, 1 to 2 inches of snow in that town I am not going to try to pronounce. Salisbury, inch or less. Cambridge, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Louisiana, I think, 2 to 3 inches of snow. So a little bit of snow in these regions. You guys are getting a little bit this morning. We go up here to the D.C. region. 2 to 3 inches of snow in Washington, D.C. is what they're calling for. Baltimore, 2 to 3. So a healthy snow into this region. Yes, it's not showing the 4 to 5 inches of snow anymore. I kind of wish they didn't bump it up like that much. And I question some things sometimes, but people question me too. So Fredericksburg, 2 to 3 inches of snow. So this is the most snow some of these areas have seen in the last couple years. So enjoy it. It'll start snowing and it will not have any issues accumulating in this region. You have no temperature issues in this area. You get into Hagerstown, 3 to 4, Cumberland, 4 to 5, Oakley in Maryland, 4 to 8 inches of snow. So we head on up into, I'm going to have to pull this up again, into Pennsylvania. Somebody said, hey, don't forget about Pennsylvania. Well, here it is. I'm not going to show any further east just because, there's not a whole lot going on. But, they're going for 2 to 3 inches of snow in Harrisburg, Lancaster, 4 to 6 inches, York, 3 to 4, and State College around 1 to 2 inches of snow. Somebody could get a little bit more than this in this region. is certainly very cold. National Weather Service out of Mount Holly, which includes New Jersey, most of it in extreme eastern and southeastern PA. Philadelphia, 2 to 3 inches of snow. It does highlight the mix. Down here, Atlantic City, 1 to 2 inches of snow is possible. Could go to rain, though. 2 to 3 inches of snow in Dover. Allentown, 3 to 4. Yeah. Reading, 3 to 4 inches of snow. And then we go up to New York City region. They're going for about 3 inches of snow in NYC. So, cool. Newark, 3 to 4 inches of snow. And then look at southern Connecticut, just widespread 2 to 3 inch snowfall totals. Anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snow out on Long Island. So, then we move up into the Northeast. And you guys are going to get a pretty healthy snow from this. Here it comes, moving up into the region. I think it'll start to snow in the southern shoreline of southern New England as we are making our way into this evening. And then the brunt of this really moves in overnight. And then, this is right in the middle of the night tonight. You get a solid, moderate snow in general, on average, kind of falling across southern New England. This is getting all the way up into Albany, New York, into the Finger Lakes region. It's very light back there, but still there. And, there could be a period of pretty heavy snow. But, as we are getting into tomorrow morning, you start to get more precipitation, but you start to flirt with warmer air as this low gets very close and tries to try to put a warm nose into these regions. But, this back end of this precipitation could be quite heavy. Boston, it could be snowing really good tomorrow morning. Could try to mix with rain. And, you might end with a little bit of a kind of an icy mix. But, you look at Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. As you're waking up tomorrow morning, this has turned into a pretty decent to moderate event in this region. Snow all the way up into Canada, overspreading all the Adirondacks, the Poconos, and the Catskills, the Berkshires, Green and White Mountains. And here it comes. And when you get into tomorrow afternoon, turns into an all-out solid, moderate snow event up here. In fact, you got winter storm watches up in areas of Maine. And then it pulls out, kind of one last hurrah, and we're finally done with this storm system, and you continue to get lake effect snow, which we'll talk about that here in a second. Snowfall between now and Wednesday morning, they're starting to increase the snowfall totals in Maine, 6 to 8 inches of snow. But, here's southern New England. I could see more snow than this falling, but we'll see what happens. And, just widespread 2 to 5 inch snowfall totals in this event in this entire area. And we will zoom into Boston. Right now, they're only going for 1.2 inches of snow in Boston. I could see more than that falling. We'll see what happens. But here's the map for this area and what it's looking like. So, yeah. Let's break down today's forecast. And we'll talk about the southeast. We already broke down the snow, right? But I do want to mention Florida. We could have some showers and storms later this morning to get going. We could get some heavier storms kind of north of Tampa Bay and Orlando in this area right here, getting close to like Gainesville. Could certainly get some showers and storms. I'm feeling more like spring down here. And these could be heavy, but these could be strong to severe. So watch out around the Space Coast later this evening. And, I'm hearing it's been very, very cloudy in Florida. Very rainy down here over the last several days. So it's going to continue to be that way. But you will get a little bit of rain. The rest of the Northeast, we won't talk about the winter storm we already have. But, one thing you'll watch is look at these lake effect snow bands. That will kind of take a break maybe today, but then they'll just fire right back up. Probably getting into tomorrow. And, they're just screeching away as we're getting into late tomorrow night. And here it is, a closer look at this on the latest HRRR model. Still got the lake effect snows ongoing right now. They might let up a little bit, especially off Erie. And then they could continue later tonight. There's the snow to your south from the other storm system. It's going to be tough to figure it out because the models kind of got it wrong with how intense the snowfall was from the lake effect snows off Erie. Well, we get into tomorrow about midday. Another epic snow band could get going, moving through Watertown, the Tuck Hill Plateau, south of Buffalo, just adding some more snow. We'll take it all the way to about the middle of the night, Tuesday night, and we got another intense, very isolated, very narrow snow band south around Buffalo and Point South, and the same thing coming off Lake Ontario into the Tuck Hill Plateau. So snowfall between now and, this is between now and about 1 p.m. Monday. So, this isn't really the rest of this event. This is just basically between now and the next several hours. Another 6 to 8 inches of snow possible in Buffalo and Watertown, 1 to 2 inches up to, Clayton, 4 to 6 inches of snow. But, if you kind of look at this region and you look at how much snow they're expecting between now, and let's take it all the way out to Thursday morning, another 1.5 feet in Buffalo and another 2 feet of snow getting into this area right into here. So pretty wild stuff, guys. It just continues. The south central U.S., besides the winter storm, we won't talk about that just because we already have. Some light snow could drift through Kansas. Anything that falls up there will stick on everything. Could get some light snow all the way into St. Louis later tonight. The models might not be picking up on it very well. And then a little bit of light snow moves through southern half of Illinois and then kind of Indiana into tomorrow morning. But that's about it. Some light snowfall accumulations from this is possible. North central U.S., I mean, the way this kind of Arctic air is flowing over the Great Lakes, you're actually getting lake effect snow on the eastern end of Lake Superior, even like the northeastern sections. It's kind of a weird flow. You don't see it as much, but here it is. You're almost getting a fetch from the northern end of Lake Michigan into extreme southeast sections of the UP and Michigan. So that's pretty wild to see. So a lot of this lake effect snow is really falling over the lake. But you continue, the rest of the north central U.S. is pretty quiet today, folks. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Out west, it's the same way. It's quiet. I mean, there's not much to speak on. We're getting into this afternoon, this evening. We are watching another storm system that could actually bring more ice to the same areas that got an epic ice storm in the valleys of Oregon over the last few days. I saw some videos out that region that look like catastrophic ice totals. Temperatures today, I mean, point to me on the screen where that Arctic front is. Doesn't take a rocket scientist, does it? And here it is. And this is why, you know, what you're seeing in North Carolina, it's not going to last long. You guys will warm well into the 40s, even the 50s today. Here in my neck of the woods, here in South Carolina, Georgia, you know, it's going to get into the 60s today. Someone's going to get into the 80s in Florida. But there's that Arctic front. Mobile, Alabama will get into the mid-60s, and Huntsville, Alabama won't get out the 20s. So, sub-freezing highs all the way down to the Texas coastline. It's pretty wild stuff, folks, how these Arctic fronts just have no idea how to do anything but just nosedive right into the south central U.S. It just seems like that's been the common theme. The polar vortex wants to just dive straight down. And then when that happens, this basically causes the southeast ridge to bulge a little bit, and that's why you're getting warmer air into this region. Eventually, it does push. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I like to blame it on the mountains a lot, but at the end of the day, what really happens is it dives so far south that it forces the ridge to sort of pump a little bit and brings in warmer air. I mean, that's what's happened over the last 2 or 3 years. That's why in these huge Arctic air mass winter storm kind of setups, the immediate southeast region typically doesn't get much. You got to get the push better from more so the northwest to the southeast. But, you know, cold day across the middle of the country, in the upper portion of the country. You know, highs will be below zero. So it's really weird to say that, but here we are. Southwest, pretty comfortable. Arctic air really isn't making it on this side of the Rockies into this area. You know, a pretty chill day. Nothing really to write home about. There's another storm system on the way, folks, and we just got to figure it out. We got a lot to figure out with this one. We'll start off Thursday morning, and here's another icy mix ongoing in, you know, Arkansas. We're getting snow into Missouri, northern Arkansas. An area of snow moves through the Midwest and the Ohio Valley late Thursday. And then we got another winter weather event from northern Alabama, Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and even northern Georgia. And you're thinking, okay, this is about to be an event for the Carolinas again. Well, not again, but, you know, hopefully we can get our turn. And then we get into, you know, the GFS. We get into the, you know, Friday morning time frame. It's snowing in North Georgia. It's snowing kind of in the same areas that are getting snow right now. And it pops a little bit of blue around the Charlotte to Fayetteville region. But look down South Carolina. Good old cold, miserable rain once again. And then it's just the same issue. It's the same similar setup. Another Arctic air push kind of moves in, but it does not settle in place first before the moisture wants to ride in. And that's the issue with this one. And but, you know, the latest GFS for areas in North Carolina does show snow. A little bit of light snow flying around. I mean, get some snow going in eastern North Carolina Friday afternoon. This is not a forecast, folks. And the thing is really watching the Northeast. Something big could pop up here with the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. But the model guidance from overnight trended away from it. But, you know, the energy's there. There's energy here. You can see it. It's snowing in South Carolina overnight Friday into Saturday morning. It wants to snow all the way to Charleston. But It's just one GFS run. And we are far from figuring this one out, unfortunately. It never turns into a big system for areas of the Northeast, but that could change. And this, once again, is probably going to fire off some lake effect snow as an Arctic air push kind of moves over the region. What about the Euro? Euro is a little bit warmer. Get some ice into northern Arkansas, ice into northern Tennessee as we're getting into Thursday afternoon, a little bit quicker with this. Some snow, light snow across the Ohio Valley, Kentucky. Brings a wintry mix into eastern Kentucky and eastern Tennessee. And never really even comes close to being anything for the southeast. You know, brings just a period of light to moderate snow across the Great Lakes region, Ohio Valley, Friday midday, interior Northeast, Mid-Atlantic. And this is when it tries to do something right here. Euro shows it. You see the increase in precipitation in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic. You see in the darker blues, heavier snow. And it's about to do something, it looks like, in the middle of the night, Friday night to Saturday morning. It looks like snow starts to pick up in New York City and Long Island. And it starts to do something right here. And it's just a little too late. And then it heads on out. And we're pretty much just left with an Arctic air mass. A very fleeting Arctic air mass as it pulls out. So the signal from this, here's the GFS ensemble. And here it comes. You can see the signal across the Ohio Valley. There's a signal across Tennessee, Kentucky from the GFS ensemble. And then there's the brief spike in the signal really close to the northeast and southern New England coastline. That kind of spikes there, and then it heads on out. European ensemble, here it comes. There's that signal. Oh, this is the GFS ensemble again. What we got going on, man? Here we go. European ensemble, here it comes. Spikes, you know, in the Ohio Valley, not as high down the Tennessee. And then we have that spike kind of in the lake effect snow favored regions and also into West Virginia where this northwest flow event will be ongoing probably. Very wintry weekend across the Appalachian Mountains next weekend for sure. And southern New England, there's that signal for a storm right there next weekend, but then it really gets big after it moves off the coastline. So what we do know is it's going to be cold. You know, this is low temperatures Wednesday morning. You know, you're probably going to get some temperatures Wednesday morning that, you know, are below most likely below zero in areas of the Cumberland Plateau, Middle Tennessee, single digits all the way into Alabama, North Georgia even. Very cold morning, even, you know, east of the Alps, but it's certainly moderated. But then, you know, it warms up, still very cold temperatures, and you get a little bit of a warm up, and then you get another Arctic blast Friday into Saturday into Sunday, and you're going to get right back into the single digits. So it's going to be a cold week across the Mid-South. All the snow falling is going to have a really hard time melting. And it's going to be very cold. This Arctic air mass gets a little bit further past the Alps. You know, you're getting into the teens in Atlanta, Columbia, you know, Fayetteville, all the way to the coastline of the Carolinas. And this Arctic air mass is going to make for a very cold weekend across the eastern U.S. But the good news for any kind of not fans of winter weather is we have a late January warm-up that is coming. I don't think it's going to last long. And we'll dive deeper into that once we can get everything out ahead of us, past us. But we will begin to dive into that over the next several days, as I do think there's a warm-up coming. And as the pattern's going to have to reload. And then I just think something big is coming in February for areas that have not gotten much from this setup so far. It's just a hunch. So that's all I got. God bless all y'all. And yeah, enjoy the snow, and I'll talk to you this evening.